Fails in youth ministry are inevitable. So today I'm going to highlight some of my classic epic fails for you. And stick around at the end because we're also going to share some of our bloopers from our past podcast episodes.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ministry Coach Podcast, where we bring you weekly tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff Lascola, and this is
Kristen Lascola.
And we
I told you it would be different.
I know.
Okay.
And you came through with flying colors.
Woo.
We are recording this episode before the election, but this will air after the election.
It's only 2 days away.
I know. We might, by then, hopefully know who won the election.
Yeah.
So we have our little American flag here so you can see.
We're
Go
Team
America. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But we figure probably one way or another, we could use a little lighthearted,
Yeah.
a fun episode.
Yeah, it was just Halloween. We're feeling festive. It's been heavy with the election. So we're just going to be like off the cuff tonight and tell you some embarrassing youth ministry stories.
Some epic fails.
Epic fails.
Your epic fails, not mine.
Yeah, so I'm just putting my reputation on the line right now. You're welcome. And I'm trusting all of you not to repeat this, okay? Yeah. This is just between us because I throw myself under the bus, but it is all in the name of your entertainment / maybe you can learn from my dumb tacks of some stupid things I've done. And
I'm sure all you guys have stories too. We would love to hear them. And if you want to write them in the comments, just any epic game fails or any epic, what was the other category?
Like
just
embarrassing moment,
yeah.
Like whether it's a game fail, youth ministry fail, embarrassing moment. And, we'll read them on the episode, like on an episode and give you a little shout out. So join me in self-deprecation. It's just therapeutic for everyone.
Let's start with the game fails, because I'm sure there's been a lot of people out there who plan for a game to go one way and it totally does not. And maybe there's like some injuries or
maybe
just
some injuries.
Some stuff like that happens. So,
that reminded me of one more. Okay. Writing that down right now. Injury was the key word.
Yeah.
So we always try to be a little razzle dazzle sometimes, like on games. And this game was called Egg Blow.
Oh, okay.
You just reminded me of it.
So
this isn't what I was going to share. I have my other one written down right here. So this game is called Egg Blow, and you can play it, but be warned. Okay, I've been playing it for 17 years. This has never happened. I've heard rumors that it could happen, but It's never happened. So I was like, whatever, So basically, you have two kids that are facing each other, and they have a tube.
Like a plastic or rubberish tube.
Yeah,
kind of
it's clear. It's like from Home Depot. And what would you say the opening is like?
1.5 inches,
2
inches max.
2-inch opening tube. And it's long enough to go from my mouth to your mouth.
Right. It's like about 4 feet long.
No, that's way too long.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's not that long.
Okay.
I would say like 3 max, more like 2.5.
I think it's at least 3 feet. Doesn't really matter. Let's say 2 feet 7
2
inches.
3/4.
No, I think it's about 3 feet.
Okay,
but the point though is, because I think I already know what the story is. You're supposed to put your lips on it almost like you're playing a trumpet.
No, this is a different story.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, there's several then.
Yeah. Well, that one's not as bad.
Okay.
So then you crack an egg and you put the raw egg, the yolk, in the tube. So it kind of settles at the bottom, right? So I put my mouth on this side of the tube, lips inside.
Yeah, like you're blowing on a trumpet.
He does the same thing, and we're doing it. And the point is to blow as hard as you can for the other person to either give up or not blow as hard. And then as soon as his air force stops, the egg will come shooting out the tube and go all over my face and all over everywhere. So it is hilarious to watch. So I always tell students, if you start to feel Because, like, if you just keep blowing and blowing and blowing and you're not breathing, you will pass out. And we warn them every time, if you feel like you're going to pass out, stop blowing. Well, it's never happened until
I didn't think I know this. I don't remember
you
this.
don't? Oh my gosh. Okay. So like 2 years ago, we're doing this huge tournament series, and it's like the game is like so epic and the lights are down. Everyone's so excited. Everyone's cheering for their team because we have a trip to Six Flags on the line here. This was part of our tournament. And so we do egg blow. This kid, adorable kid, never met him before in my life. Don't even know his name.
Welcome to youth group.
Exactly. It always will be that kid, right? Volunteers. He was precious. So I was like, you're so cute. Come on up. I didn't even know who he was. He starts blowing on this tube and is blowing and blowing, and people are cheering and they're like, go, go, go. I don't even remember his name, and Bentley or something. And he blows and all of a sudden collapses on the stage, goes completely limp, is laying there with his eyes closed. And my heart, like, I'm like, I'm gonna be fired. This kid is dead. Like, he has brain damage. Like, my adrenaline is like pumping. So one of my leaders comes up on stage and they're like trying to lift him up, and he kind of like stumbles to his feet and he's like, looks super confused. I'm like, are you okay, buddy? Passes out again without even blowing again. He just kind of like looked around, and then I'll never forget the look and the feeling of him just going completely limp. It was like it was awful. So then my leader hooks their arms under his armpits and is just dragging
him out.
This kid's
We got more
body
kids
off the stage.
You're wasting time,
and the
kid.
other volunteers can take over. They drag
the show
him.
must go on.
They put him in the hallway, and he's like
alone, right? Like, just close the door.
Turn off the lights. Let him sleep it off. No, and someone else took over for me. I'm back there with them, like, hey, like, are you all right? You know where you are? Like, I'm on the phone with this dad who's like a firefighter. I'm like, maybe he can help me out. And he was kind of like, why are you calling me? Call 911 if you're worried. But I'm like, all I need is an ambulance here. Like, is it okay to pass out? Like, people pass out all the time, right? But I don't know. Like, is this really dangerous? So then I call his dad and I'm like, hey, your son passed out on stage. We were like,
twice.
Egg blow. It was, I'll explain later. His dad, luckily, was so cool. His dad's like, he's probably fine. Don't call an ambulance. Is he awake? Is he talking? I said, yeah. He's awake and talking. He's hanging out with us. He seems fine. He knows where he is. He didn't hit his head or anything. And he's like, okay, I'll just come pick him up. I'm so mortified. Like, how do you explain to your parent, like, I had your kid like blow an egg through a tube like really hard and they passed out a couple times. Like, why? Like,
right.
I dropped my kid off at church. They're passed out in the back hallway.
Yeah, you don't expect to have to give
egg.
them that advice when you drop them off. Hey, if you play egg blow tonight, make sure you don't pass out.
It was okay. So this story is funny now telling it, but it was that was one of the most terrifying nights of my life. I would call it a fail on many fronts. And guess what? We've never played egg blow again. It's my new chubby bunny. I don't play chubby bunny anymore, and I don't play egg blow anymore because what if he had hit his head? He didn't. He collapsed and
or fell off the stage or something.
Yeah, like that could have been really, really bad. So we do not play egg blow anymore.
Well, the one I thought you were going to say was there was a kid, instead of putting his mouth on it like a trumpet, he put his lips around it.
Right.
Which you get no pressure. Right. So when the other kid blew, it just went straight into his mouth and he just like gagged and it was all over the place.
Yeah, the raw egg launched at full speed, like and he was just like open mouth, like, like it just went into his brain pretty much. And I was like, oh, I
saw it and I thought for a second, should I stop him? But it was already like kind of like 3, 2, 1, go. And I thought, well, maybe you can do it that way. I don't know. And clearly
just fog it up. That's all you can do. Lips inside. Yeah, that was terrible. Another awful game fail we had was I had a leader round of tug-of-war. And I love my leaders because they're of all generations. And we had this lady, her name was Nancy. She's probably like about 60. And she was a go-getter. Like she wasn't the type to just like, oh, I'm just going to cheer you on. Like she played. So she's playing tug-of-war and...
You didn't get the classic tug-of-war rope. Instead, you used bed sheets.
And we tied them together.
And I mean, in theory, it seems like a bed sheet should be strong enough.
The kids had played on this thing, and maybe they loosened it up because the kids had played a few rounds. The bed sheets worked. This is when I had no budget, and my intern went to his house. He got a couple bed sheets.
Now, they did have a rope that you could have gotten at one of our other campuses, but you just didn't bother to. You went for, that's true.
I thought I was being resourceful.
Well,
but it turns out. So here's the thing, the bed sheets, so the leaders are pulling and did they rip or come untied?
I think it ripped.
It ripped and all the momentum caused the leaders to all fall on their butts pretty hard.
Which was funny.
It was, but when you're 60 years old, you break a rib.
Right.
So
she broke a rib.
Crack a rib. Let's not over dramatize this. So the funniest part is she goes to the doctor and her doctor is like, can you tell me how did you cracked this rib? And she had a great attitude about, my leader did, but she said her doctor was so confused of like, wait a minute, you're 60 years old playing tug-of-war with bed sheets with 13-year-old. No, I was playing a leader round. Okay, I don't even, here you go. Here's a pain prescription. She luckily was the kind of leader that could just be like, can you believe I cracked a rib? She wasn't upset, but I wish I could have been a fly on the wall at the doctor's office to watch her like, I cracked a rib playing tug-of-war with bed sheets. So who decided the bed sheets would be a good idea?
You.
Me. Terrible. I told you I was throwing myself under the bus. What is that? 3 now?
That's just technically 2 because the other one, the egg blow one, was technically not on you. That was on the kid. Unless you could say it was...
Yeah, John, if you're listening, that wasn't my fault.
Unless you could say it was poor explanation of the rules of the game. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
I should have watched their lip placement before. I don't know. You know what? Back in the day, I had to ref every game. I had to MC every game. I was running
all the supplies
tech.
for every game.
I did everything. I was probably just really distracted. I mean, that was a long time ago.
We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And everybody survived. So
yeah, I mean,
until this next story. Now go.
Okay, so this one is just plain embarrassing. So I was an intern, a youth intern. So I think I'm like 19 at this point, 18 or 19. I'm really young. And it's the end of the office or end of the work day. And I'm kind of walking around campus, kind of locking stuff up and getting stuff. And there's this minivan driving around and circling the parking lot. And finally, this lady, this mom, she rolls down the window. She's like, excuse me, can you help me find the office? And I was like, oh, sure. Like, just behind us, just keep going straight and you'll run into it. And she was like, okay. But I already went over there. Like, so I'm not going to recap everything she said. Long story short, she was just so confused and couldn't understand my directions to the office. And our conversation went way too long. Like I could even physically see the office from where we were standing. And she just like was so, I don't know, very confused. And I was starting to get a little irritated of like, I don't know how else to describe to you.
I could have built the office around you by this point in time.
Where the office is, So she drives away and I walk back to the office and we're shutting down and it's me and like 2 other staff members in there. And I see them and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, there is this mom in the parking lot. Like this lady, like seriously cannot follow directions. I don't know how many times I explained to her where the office is and I just see their eyes like go wide, like they're like listening, but they're like frozen. And I'm like, weird, but I just keep going. And I'm like thinking like, you're faces, but I was like, oh my gosh, like she was so annoying. I was just like explaining to her over and over and over again. And I could tell like they weren't looking at me in the eye anymore. They were looking behind me, like over me. And so I like slowly turn around because my back was to the entrance to the office. And what do you know? Who's standing there listening to my whole rant is this mom. She just heard, and like, could you guys have interrupted me, Holly and John, please? Like, could you have said, like, oh, hold
We're
on.
calling everybody out.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah, can we help you? They just let me go. And they were just staring at her like, oh, shoot. Like, I think they were connecting the dots of like, you're talking about her. She's right behind you. And I just keep going and going. Now, here's the saddest part. I turn around, I see her listening to this whole thing, and I just go, oh, hi. And she just goes, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I guess I was just confused. She starts apologizing because she could clearly tell I was annoyed. And I just was like, can I like melt into a puddle right now? I don't even want to be seen. I don't want to exist. It was like, that was one of my first experiences in ministry, like bad experiences. And that has stuck with me for the last however many years that was ago. But I mean, I think about that and I still cringe. Like, oh, that's so cringy, like awkward. And bless her heart, she could have flown off the handle at me, but she was so nice and gracious with this 18-year-old jerk face.
So you lucked out.
I did.
You have one more story though. I thought you were going to talk about this one.
Oh, another game fail?
Yeah. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
The fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which apparently has happened to other pastors, which
really?
is interesting.
Okay.
You told me that.
I did?
Yeah. Is there anything else I need to tell you?
Okay, so let's go back to funny because now you guys are just sad for this lady, right? And you're like, Kristen's a jerk. You're right. So we love this game at my youth group called Ultimate Football or Ultimate Frisbee. I'm sure you guys have played it. Basically 2 teams. You can take 2 steps, then you have to pass the ball. 2 steps past the ball, you have to make it to your end zone. If the ball drops, it switches sides. And so if you need a game for your next youth group, that's not really socially distanced.
You're using the same ball.
Using the same ball. But it's a really fun game. So I'm thinking, ooh, let's spice it up a little bit and let's play Ultimate Sushi Ball. So I'm thinking instead of a football or frisbee, we're going to use a whole fish, like a raw fish. Like, won't this just be just a hoot, kids? Trying to be the fun youth pastor, the kooky, zany gal. And I went to every stinking grocery store in our town. I cannot find a fish. I'm like, what do you have to do to get a fish around here? So I finally find in the refrigerated section this tilapia that's like wrapped all up. And I'm like, wow, that's the only whole fish I can see. Tilapia, sure, whatever. So
fish is a fish is a fish.
So I thought.
Right.
So, I explained it to the kids and they're all like giggly and squeamish. They're like so excited. So we start playing and we throw a couple passes and this fish is just getting flopped around. And the kids keep like wincing every time they're catching the fish. And finally, one of the girls came up to me. She's like, ow, Kristen, like my hand is bleeding. And I'm like, like from catching a fish? I'm like, you're fine. I'm like, it was like barely any blood.
Rub some dirt on it. You'll be okay.
I was like, come on, you babies, because they kept catching it going like, ow, my hands, ow, my hands. And I just thought it was like, okay, is it still a little bit frozen or is it just like...
You're just hamming it up to get attention.
I just thought they were literally being babies. And then, this girl comes up with blood on her hands and I'm like, still kind of like, I think you're fine. Like you just got a scratch. Well, it kept going and now other kids have blood on their hands. And I'm like, what is happening? And then finally I grabbed this fish, what I did not notice, and I am not a fisher person, but Tilapias have spikes from their nose to their tail, just that go all.
It was tilapia? I don't really know.
Yeah, it was a tilapia. It goes all the way down their backs, just this row of spikes, just like a booby trap fish. And so every time the kids are catching it, they're getting like nailed with this fish, stabbed with the spikes, and now I feel terrible.
You had said, I think you shared this somewhere, and it was at least one other youth pastor that's like, yeah, I'd made the same mistake.
That sounds vaguely familiar, but you want to know what I learned later in life is you can get like a bacteria infection from getting cut by raw fish.
Oh, I bet. And then the blood is transferring from one kid to the next.
Oh, yeah.
So you're lucky that the worst thing that happened was some
Because one
scratches.
time we were whitewater rafting and this kid picked a dead fish out of the river and threw it at a girl and it cut her. And then she started getting this red line, like at the cut point, traveling up to her arm near her heart. And they rushed her to, like, the nearest hospital is like 2 hours away. They like rushed her to the hospital because she was getting.
This was supposed to be a happy ending story,
I know.
not like kids
but I'm
are
just
dying.
telling you, fish
Beware.
poisoning. Yes. This is called also dumb tax. You are learning right now from my dumb tax. I didn't know this stuff.
Most people probably didn't need to be told to not use the fish, but
I don't think so. People use cow tongue. I wouldn't do that.
They should never sell cow tongue. That's gross.
They start to fall apart and then it's just raw meat everywhere. That's dangerous.
This has become derailed. Hey, whoever wins the election, we're all still Americans, so let's stick together and make the best of either situation. And if you have any epic fails from games or just youth group and youth ministry in general, put them in the comments. It'll be funny to see what other people have to share. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
Does everybody know event? Can we have what?
Simplify it a little bit.
That was kind of dumb.
Oh, I don't know what episode this is.
Oh, how he grew a ministry. We're going to talk about a TUD.
He talks about creating community with that magnetic something that you all need. They were interviewing, I don't know why I say interviewing, because I'm a dum-dum. We're interviewing Pastor Jeff Morris from the Rhythm Church.
The Rhythm Church gotta get
All
you.
right, he talks about growing. No, he doesn't. We're interviewing. Hey guys, we got it. Hey guys! It's from Rhythm Church in Oceanside.
Ocean Shag.
I can't do it. Hey guys, we've got to stop.
My smile's getting tired. Can we cut this? I'm rambling.